Another example is standing. Standing is a balanced position that results from the contraction of the extensor muscle that opposes the collapse of the body under the effect of gravity. Slide 9 shows examples of myotatic reflex. Now the first is the posture reflex, which we have already explained. Another example is the Achillean reflex. To understand the Achillean reflex, I'm going to show you slide 10. Before I continue with slide 10, let me finish the following slide. The third example here is the patellar reflex, which is going to be explained on slide 11. Let's start with the Achillean reflex. The name of the reflex, as you know, is Achillean reflex. Now, the stimulated muscle here is the extensor muscle of the leg, and the response is going to be the extension of the foot. I want you to notice that we have extension movement, and the muscle that is going to be stimulated is an extensor muscle. You would remember that we said that we're going to have an extension movement when the extensor muscle contracts. So this is going to be clarified in the following diagram. The extensor muscle here is called the triceps surae. This is the muscle here. It is the extensor muscle of the leg. Now, this muscle has a tendon here, which we call the Achillean tendon, where the name Achillean reflex comes from. By the way, the following two reflexes that I had previously mentioned, the Achillean and the patellar reflexes, are used during a routine medical checkup by the doctor. It is used to check for any signs of perturbation in the nervous system. As you would observe, a small hammer, which is rubber, is going to be used to hit the Achillean tendon. Now, hitting the Achillean tendon is going to cause the extensor muscle of the leg, here, this muscle, to contract. When this muscle contracts, being an extensor muscle, it is going to lead to an extension movement, the extension of the foot. The exact mechanism and the neuronic pathway involved in such a reflex will be discussed later in the coming activities. Slide 11 is showing you the patellar reflex. As you would observe here, the name of the reflex is written patellar. Then we are going to hit the following tendon here. This is the tendon here, which is called the patellar tendon. This patellar tendon is related to a muscle here, which we call the quadricep muscle. Keep the following name in mind because we're going to be using it later on. This is the quadricep muscle here, which is an extensor muscle. As you would recall, let me take you back to slide 8 here. Slide 8 is showing you the muscle here, the extensor muscle, this muscle here. So it has a name which we call the quadricep muscle. Now, so when the patellar tendon is hit, it is going to cause contraction of the following muscle, the quadricep muscle, which is the extensor muscle. The following muscle here is going to contract, leading to an extension movement. Remember, the quadricep is an extensor. When it contracts, it is going to lead to an extension movement going like this. Actually, what really happens is that the muscle is going to contract. And remember, we said earlier that when a muscle contracts, it is going to shorten. The shortening of the muscle is going to pull the following leg upward like this, causing an extension movement. As you would observe here, we have the neuronic circuit, which would later be explained in detail. I would like to call your attention to the word femur, which is the bone of the thigh. This word is going to come up later at the end of this session. Now, for a myotatic reflex to happen, it needs certain structures or certain elements. The following slide is showing that the clinical observations show that the degeneration of certain structures found on the muscle, which are called neuromuscular spindle, and the following structures are going to be dealt with later on in detail. When the following structures called neuromuscular spindle, which are found inside in the muscle, when they degenerate, what is going to happen is that the reflex is going to disappear. Here we're talking about the Achillean reflex. So degeneration of the neuromuscular spindle and the extensor muscle, which we called earlier the triceps suri, is going to make the following reflex, the Achillean reflex, disappear. Also, it was observed that a lesion in the sciatic nerve and of the spinal cord and the region where this nerve originates will also cause the reflex to disappear. Therefore, the following three elements which we have mentioned, which are the neuromuscular spindle, the sciatic nerve, and the spinal cord, are involved in the reflex or in the Achillean reflex. So far, you have an idea now about posture maintenance and how does it involve the myotatic reflex and what is a myotatic reflex. Now finally, we're going to go to our last slide, or the last notion, which is Sherrington's experiment to demonstrate the effect of muscle stretching on its contraction. By this experiment, Sherrington wants to study the effect of the muscle stretching on contraction. So he used the experimental setup, which is shown here. Sherrington took the cat and he isolated the spinal cord from the encephalon by cutting at the level of the medulla oblongata. The following animal is now referred to as a spinal animal. Therefore, a spinal animal is one whose spinal cord has been cut off, separated from the encephalon. He placed the animal on a table, as you can observe here, and he tightly fixed one of the femur. The femur, as you would recall, is the bone of the thigh. Next, he sectioned the lower tendon, the tendon which is the structure that is going to connect the muscle to the bone. So he sectioned the lower tendon of the quadricep muscle. The quadricep muscle, which is the muscle that we have talked about previously, the extensor muscle. And he kept the innervation intact. The meaning of innervation, the nervous circuit, intact, that is not damaged. So here we have the muscle and we have the tendon. So as you would observe, the tendon was attached to a recording instrument which is called the myograph, which is placed above the table. Now, as you would recall, Sherrington's experiment is to demonstrate the effect of the muscle stretching on its contraction. So, the muscle has to be stretched. In order to stretch the muscle, he's going to lower the table. So here we have the arrow going downward, showing that the muscle is going to be stretched by lowering the table. Upon lowering the table, the muscle is stretched to a maximum of 0.8 centimeter. This is clear here, where we have stretching of the muscle, and as you would observe, he stretched it to 0.8 and it was maintained for after 6 seconds. Now, he recorded the tension which is going to develop in the muscle due to the stretching. Now, the tension is going to signify the contraction of the muscle. As observed, in the absence of stretching, the muscle is found in a state of light tension here, 0.2 kilogram. Now, as the stretching increases from 0.1 to 0.8 kilogram, the tension in the muscle increased to around 2.8 kilogram. It increased from 0.2 kilogram to 2.8 kilogram. Now, the stretching was maintained. However, as you would observe here, as the stretching was maintained, the tension decreases slightly to around 2.2 kilogram after 6 seconds. So as we'd observe here, that the stretching of the muscle has caused its own tension, where the muscle is responding to its own stretching by contraction, since tension is an indication of contraction. Therefore, the following experiment reveals a myotatic reflex. So the session has come to an end. By now, you know that posture is the maintenance of body in an upright, balanced position, and that it involves myotatic reflex, where the muscle is going to contract due to its own stretching, as proved here by Sherrington. The anti-gravity muscle, which contracts in response to stretching by gravity, would keep the body in an upright, balanced position. You have also learned the examples on the myotatic reflex, which are the postural reflex, the Achillean reflex, and the patellar reflex. Keep in mind that the Achillean reflex and the patellar reflex are going to be explained in detail in the coming activity. In addition, you now know that the skeletal muscles are extensors and flexors. The extensor muscles are going to lead to a movement which is called extension when they contract, and the flexor movement is due to the contraction of the flexor muscle. And the following two muscles' action are antagonistic. Now, the detailed structure of the muscle is also going to be dealt with in the coming activity. So at the end of the session, you should be able to answer the proposed question at the beginning, which was, how is posture maintained? Thank you.